podcast recording booth here in beautiful Chicago, Illinois, and actually a little windy. Today, a good friend of mine is we're going to be talking to, and that's Richard Battle. Richard is the multi-award-winning author of 10 books. He's been a public speaker on a whole lot of different subjects. Richard, let me open by asking you, why did you start writing?
Good morning, Don. As I've told people before, my English teachers in high school never dreamed I'd read a book, much less write one. And I never dreamed I'd write more than one, and each one's been based on public experience and inspiration to share stories of experiences that I've been through in the hope of helping others.
Boy, that's important. That's a lot. And actually, who do you think should be reading these books?
Well, I think there's, of the 10 books, some are targeted for different groups, but most everyone, from families, parents, children, can read one or more of the books I put out.
Okay, that's good. What would you suggest that people take away from your books? I know that's always so important, and people are trying to figure out, you have so many choices of what you can read, and what really should they be looking for? Hopefully taking away.
Well, the material I write is timeless, and one of the things is the subject of this interview is called "What Difference Will It Make 100 Years From Now?" And when I was a boy, my dad would get a second piece of pie, and he'd say, "What difference will it make 100 years from now? I eat a second piece of pie," and we'd laugh.
That's a good point.
But I learned the lesson later, and I've got a physical manifestation of that everything we do will impact someone 100 years plus from now, whether we like it or not. And the question is, how will it impact them? And so the things I write are timeless in the hope that they will benefit people 100 years from now or more. And I have a piece of furniture that I inherited, a snack table, if you will.
Sure.
A library table. It was my great-great-grandmother's, and she used to give milk and cookies to my great-grandmother, who lived until I was 9 years old.
Oh, wow, what a wonderful...
And so I had a personal relationship with her.
Okay.
And what I realized was that my great-great-grandmother gave life lessons to my great-grandmother, who gave them to my grandmother, my mother, to me, to my daughter, 6 generations on that table. So my great-great-grandmother was an influencer long before that term was made. And I put out to people that every one of us have relatives that did that, whether we have a table to illustrate it or not. And 100 plus years from now, our descendants and people we influence will be influenced by what we're doing today. So it's up to us, it's our responsibility to put out positive information to help their lives.
Absolutely. Now, taking all that, how do you think your books help people do that? Putting out that positive message, because today we all know there's a lot of messages out there, and with artificial intelligence, I'm afraid they're going to get all balled up. So how can we help those people? What are you trying to accomplish?
That's a great question. My latest book, The Unopened Present, spans a 25-year period. When my son was born in 1997, I was a little bit older father, and I was afraid that I wouldn't survive to teach him the important things in life.
Okay.
So I wrote him a letter and outlined 43 things that I thought were the essential lessons of life. Unfortunately, he passed away 3 months later. Never got to open the present
that's heartbreaking.
of that letter.
Yeah.
Put that letter aside. I wrote a book about surviving grief by God's grace, about his loss. Years later, during an interview, a radio interview, there was a God moment where somebody heard me doing the radio interview, thanked me for sharing some of the things about my son, and a friend, upon me telling that story, said, "You need to write a book about that letter, that experience, and how that can help other families." And so I took those 43 lessons, expanded them with quotes, examples, scripture, that can help families and young people in this discouraging world to be encouraged to have better lives.
Oh, that's so important, because every time I open up a newspaper or I open up hear a radio, I can almost feel that. And what do you think are some other ways of trying to spread those good words that you think you can help people with?
Well, of course, I do a lot of speaking, a lot of radio and TV as well. And I think it's very important. are discouraging world right now. Our media and our elected officials are discouragers. They're not encouragers. And so I want to encourage people to go out and pursue their dreams and to find people to collaborate and help them pursue dreams. And the most successful people are doing that. And I want to get people who are not doing that to realize these times are not the toughest in history. Our parents and grandparents went through much tougher times than we did. Our founders went through much tougher times than we did. And we stand on their shoulders. They gifted us this liberty that we have and this freedom.
I love that message.
And
I love that message.
It's our responsibility to broaden our shoulders and overcome these challenges to gift our descendants that. A late friend and mentor of mine, John Ben Shepherd, said, to be born free is an accident. To live free is a responsibility. But to die free is an obligation. And I believe it's my responsibility now to pass that along to future generations in the hope that that liberty will last.
Absolutely. And I guess a lot of people who are listening to us now want to know how in the world they can get more information about you and where they ought to go. Are you listed on the website, or where can people hear more about you?
Well, I appreciate you asking that question. My website's richardbattle.com. It's richardbattle, BATTLE.com. They can email me, richard@richardbattle.com. All the books there are signed. The books are available at Amazon and all of the booksellers, including audio and Kindle as well.
And I understand that you're going to be here today. Where can people walk over and meet you?
Well, we'll be at the Headline Books booth most of the day. We'll be signing at the author signing area from 3 to 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Well, all that sounds great. And I think, what is the single word that you think people would like to take away?
Encouragement. To me, encouragement is the greatest gift we can give anyone. And so one of the things I like to encourage people to do is try to encourage at least one person a day in what they're doing. And you'd be amazed at the difference we can make in people's lives when we encourage them and give them a little dose of positivity in what they're trying to do.
Well, that's so important, because sometimes, I look at the paper and I say, what can I do? But then what you're telling me, I can help somebody else. Do one thing, help a person, contribute to something that I believe in, or whatever. Richard, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I believe we're going to close out now, and this is all we have from right now at the American Library Association podcast recording booth. And thanks again, Richard, and you'll be here for most of the day.
Yes, thank you, Don.
Okay.